Hi guys, Dan with Index Option Trading, and we're looking at a chart of E-mini Futures Index S&P 500 Index Futures for March. And as you can see, this is a daily graph here for the futures. We have been traveling in this rising channel here, but all of a sudden it dropped here on a few days ago, and then making a high of 1343, the futures. We're not talking about S&P. This is a E-mini S&P futures. And then since then the price has been coiling in what appears to be a triangle, apex triangle, with an apex pointing it out somewhere here. The price is kind of coiling in here in this fashion here, which is actually, it is a bullish triangle because a bullish pattern is called a pattern. It's a pennant, and what it does is just a continuation pattern for the trend, which is in the up direction. Whenever there's a huge run up here, a pennant forms or a flag forms, and the commodity or the asset starts continuing up in the same direction as the previous trend. That usually is, it does. Let's take a look up close on a 1 hourly chart, and you can see what is happening here. You can see this was the channel that we were up here, and now the price is coiling here, up and down, and its motions are getting muted as it moves forward, and it will ultimately break out most likely to the upside. It can also break down to downside. There's no telling about it, but the most likely pattern is going to resolve to the upside because this trend was in the upside. Anyway, that is what is happening here on the E-mini futures, which represent the S&P 500 and so on. We can take a look at it again. Looking at here Dow Jones. This is a daily chart of Dow Jones, and if you see here, we have been traveling in this upward channel nicely day after day. Remember that? Nothing, no break. Drop here, sheer drop, and then the sideways motion, and this is the two parallel lines here, and it's just a continuation consolidation pattern here. If you look at it here, this pattern has occurred a couple times. We had a drop here back here in August and September, continued for a few days, and then started a breakout and a major advance up there. Then again there's a drop here, a downward motion, and then continuation pattern here with the sideways motion for a few days, and a huge breakout one day, and then we start rising the trend. So it is forming that kind of a pattern here with these drops and then these run-ups here, and I don't know how long this will continue. I mean, there's no telling. This pattern can continue. Now let's look at SPX as well in the market and what it is doing. This was the rising channel on a daily chart, dropped here. This was a continuation pattern here. We did not make two channels here. This was a continuation here again in September, and now we're forming a pennant, which we saw is similar to the pattern on E-mini futures, which represents the S&P 500. So these patterns are same in both these charts, and if you look at it here, it is just forming a pattern here, pennant, and this pattern is most likely going to resolve to the upside as the price coils in here, and then boom, it just gets out one way or the other. And there's a lot of stuff is getting in here, I mean, there's a compression going on. So the price just compresses here, and then it resolves to the either upside or downside. But if you look at it, downside, there's 1300, and there's a 50-day moving average is going to set as a buffer. So most likely, even if it goes down here, it's going to have tough time to break through this. So most likely the path of least resistance appears to be the up. And that's what we have here. I'm going to just touch base on NFLX. I'm getting calls on this one, and people are sending me emails on this one, NFLX. If you look at it, this stock was at 247 and kept dropping here in 50-day moving average, and then lo and behold, they were able to gap this thing down. Because there was a gap on the left hand side, there was no trading, there's no resistance, they were able to push the price down to the gap and close that gap down here. But now it's finding support here at 190, 193, because you can see here between December 13 to January or February 14, 2 months, there's a lot of trading here, a lot of base here. So there are a lot of people who are holding positions here in that region, and therefore the short sellers and the bears are having a tough time to break this 193. I doubt it they'll be able to break it. It's extremely oversold. As much selling as it has taken, most likely this is going to base here and go back up again. So that is all for today. It's a special edition, and I'll talk to you pretty soon.